get up and dash 100 meters and I would eat up the competition. It's just non-existent. I kick my feet up. Thought I was fast until I got blasted.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today, we're going to be talking about Supercard of Honor, the first show under Tony Khan, in his version of Ring of Honor. It was from April the 1st, 2022. And it was a show that was essentially one match, and the rest you could take or leave. So, in Tony Khan making changes to Ring of Honor, there were some things that I liked. There were some ups, there were some downs. But we're going to get into the show. And I think the show was solid. I think the stuff that I was expecting to like, I did like. And this show was for the work rate mark that's within me. Because despite the fact that I do love storytelling, I love the mythology of pro wrestling. I do enjoy that stuff. I also do like actual wrestling. So sometimes I want to watch a work rate show. And Ring of Honor is good for, work rate shows. Now, the first things first that I noticed in watching Tony Khan presents Ring of Honor is that we were right. This is AEW developmental. The undercard of this show featured a lot of just AEW undercard wrestlers defeating Ring of Honor standards. For instance, I think on the 0 hour, quote unquote, which was the kickoff show, AQA, who is signed to Ring of Honor, defeated Miranda Alizé, who is not signed to Ring of Honor. Or not signed to AEW, I should say. Miranda Alizé was actually in Ring of Honor before the company was purchased. So that's basically what took place here, is that unless both people were in AEW at the time, whoever was signed to AEW more than likely won. So that was kind of how the show went. It was kind of like the switch over from NXT to NXT 2.0 and how that bummed people out. That's kind of how I felt watching some of these matches. Because you see people and you're like, oh, this could be pretty good. And you're like, oh, no. Obviously, I'm just bummed out because, some of the people I was watching with Ring of Honor when I was doing reviews of the show and everything, a lot of those people lost. So, it is what it is. I understand it. But that doesn't mean I have to like it. So this is AEW developmental, essentially. There's going to be continuous bleed over between AEW and Ring of Honor. So let's start with the big surprise. Let's start in hot. Samoa Joe is back in Ring of Honor and debuted, and he signed an all elite contract. So he's not signed to Ring of Honor. He's signed to AEW. So the main event of the show was Jonathan Gresham versus Bandito for the undisputed Ring of Honor World Title. So for those of you who haven't been paying attention, Bandito was the actual Ring of Honor World Champion. On the last pay-per-view that they had before they went on hiatus, Bandito caught COVID, and therefore he could not defend the title against Jonathan Gresham. On that show, Jonathan Gresham defeated, I believe it was Jay Lethal, and won what they call the, quote, original Ring of Honor World Title, which was basically an interim belt. So this entire series since December was all built up to Bandito versus Jonathan Gresham. Now, on the independents, Jonathan Gresham was treated essentially like he was the Ring of Honor World Champion. He almost always won, and Bandito almost always lost. So that's just kind of how it was. Bandito would lose in GCW. He would lose at other shows. But Jonathan Gresham was always treated as the guy who was defending the Ring of Honor World Title. Whether it was in Progress, whether it was in GCW, whether it was on Impact, whether it was in TNA, not TNA, that's Impact. I think he may have even showed up in NWA once or twice. He was considered to be the Ring of Honor World Champion. So Bandito was just a guy walking around with a belt. So in order to add some unnecessary drama to the mix, Bandito was given a manager, Chavo Guerrero. And I was kind of like, what do they have in common? They have nothing in common. For starters, Chavo is a heel, Bandito is not. Secondly, Bandito actually speaks English, so he doesn't need Chavo Guerrero. In any event, that's the storyline going into the match. And Jonathan Gresham, in his opening promo, he says that he usually targets a limb, and when it comes to his opponents, but people are asking if he's going to target the arms or legs of Bandito, but it's not. He's going to target the heart of Bandito, because the heart is Bandito's strength. And that was a pretty good promo, but this is a face versus face match, so there has to be somebody there to create heat. So Bandito, only thing he asked Chavo Guerrero to do was not to cheat. He said, look, I want to win the title straight up, no cheating. Chavo promised on La Familia that he will not cheat. So guess what happened in this match? Chavo cheated. And what, so Bandito caught Chavo cheating. And then Bandito actually snitched on Chavo and got Chavo ejected, which of course did not factor into the finish at all and did not factor into the post-match story at all. So Jonathan Gresham wins the match with a weirdly designed roll-up that included it was just a weird roll-up. So because Jonathan Gresham doesn't have a finishing move, he just kind of wins with roll-ups and small packages and sometimes random submission holds. So he wins the match. Jay Lethal had defeated Lee Moriarty earlier. In the third match on the show, Lee Moriarty, who also works for AEW, was wrestling Jay Lethal. Now, the two of them, their match was actually based in ROH lore. Because the last time Jay Lethal and Lee Moriarty was on the same show, in terms of being on Ring of Honor show, Jay Lethal said that he wished that Lee Moriarty would stay around. And that, he wanted to have the opportunity to teach him and to, groom him to be a better wrestler. And, this would be the perfect place for him. But he already was signed to AEW at the time. And Lethal didn't know he was leaving. So it was just kind of how it was. So that's what this story was based on. So Jay Lethal defeated Lee Moriarty. At that point, Matt Sydal was kind of, Matt Sydal was in the corner of Lee Moriarty, was playing the mentor. Jay Lethal then assaults Matt Sydal, who was injured, by the way. So he kicked away his crutches and, beat him up a little bit. Sanjay Dutt, who is a producer, runs into the ring. He separates them. And then he starts kicking Matt Sydal too. So it's Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal both turning heel, beating up on Lee Moriarty and Matt Sydal. So afterwards, yes, they booked a match that you would essentially see on AEW Dark for a $30 pay-per-view on Ring of Honor. Anyway, Jay Lethal is now firmly a heel after attacking Lee Moriarty and Matt Sydal. So at the end of the show, they're trying to do the New Japan special, which is after the match, the winner, the person who won the main event, will send the crowd home happy with a speech. And Jonathan Gresham gets the microphone and he's going to do that. Then Jay Lethal interrupts him and says that he wants to help Jonathan Gresham send the fans home happy. He wants to send the fans home happy by challenging for the Ring of Honor World Title. He wants the first shot. And Jonathan Gresham says, look, I've known you, I respect you, but something tells me that you've changed. And that kind of let that linger a little bit. And Jonathan Gresham says that nobody would know who Jonathan Gresham was if it wasn't for me, you piece of crap. Because they had been partners. They had been tag team champions together. And it was the two of them in the Foundation, which is more Ring of Honor lore, before they went on hiatus. For a year or two before they went on hiatus, Jay Lethal and Jonathan Gresham were the tag team champions, and they were best buds, and Lethal was putting Jonathan Gresham over in singles matches, all kinds of stuff. So it seemed like they was going this way anyway. So they got into a fight. They came in there. It got broken up. Then Sanjay Dutt once again gets into the ring, and there's two guys beating up on Jonathan Gresham. Then Lee Moriarty comes out there to help. He gets beat up too. And then that kind of leaves somebody to have to come in and make the save. This is Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe comes in there to make the big save. Lethal and Dutt, they sort of back down. Jay Lethal steals the Ring of Honor World titles, both belts. He's got them both. And Samoa Joe then chokes out Sanjay Dutt and scares off Jay Lethal. Samoa Joe then shakes hands with Jonathan Gresham. And Samoa Joe is announced not only to be All Elite, but now will also be on Dynamite. And this was all pretty good. I don't mind. I wish Jay Lethal was doing something. They began his heel turn on, what was it, Rampage last week or something like that? Or was it Dynamite? I think it was on Dynamite that they began his heel turn. And I'm not thrilled with that, because it seems like, okay, these are just the minor leagues. This is, another minor league for AEW. So you got Dark Elevation, Rampage, and now Ring of Honor. So it doesn't feel like a major promotion when it's basically your B-level guys coming in, winning the titles, and the guys you wouldn't put over on Dynamite are now coming on and getting over and getting mic time and getting screen time on Ring of Honor. It just seems weird to me, but that's just the position that we're in now. Samoa Joe obviously fits in Ring of Honor due to the Ring of Honor lineage that he has. He seems to be back as a wrestler. That should be pinpointed, that he is back as a wrestler. So that's fine. It's just that I like Samoa Joe. I'm just very concerned about his health. Hopefully he can go. If he can go, then they just got another big name. And again, they're still catering to the late part of that 18 to 49 demographic. Yes, he was in WWE. Yes, he was, a star in NXT, but they don't remember his heyday. A lot of people, if you're 20 years old, you might remember Samoa Joe from TNA. But if you're 15, let's say, then 15 years ago was 2007. If you give or take, let's say you started watching wrestling young, around the same age I did, maybe 6 or 7, then maybe that's 2013. Samoa Joe of 2013 is not what you want to remember. You have to remember Samoa Joe from the early 2000s, because he is not that guy anymore. He's not. None of these guys are. If we're being fair, Randy Orton isn't the same guy, and neither is Jeff Hardy. But it's AEW's thing that they're really trying to hit hard that demographic of bringing in as regular performers, not one shot for Saudi Arabia, one shot for a pay-per-view or something like that. Regular roster guys who are in their 40s. And this AEW's roster is just getting older and older and older. And it is what it is. I think it's smart. You got to have some of these guys. I mean, I don't know if you got to have all of them, but you got to have some of them. You're trying to establish a brand here. And I know that he's going to probably separate them eventually and put some of these guys on Ring of Honor as Ring of Honor regulars. It's going to be inevitable. And maybe Samoa Joe will be a part of that class. So I like the signing. The story is fine. It makes sense. Jay Lethal and Jonathan Gresham was on the collision course anyway. So all of that was good. I didn't have a problem with that. The match itself between Jonathan Gresham and Bandito was fun. Jonathan Gresham, he has a style that you have to kind of come to accept, and Bandito is a luchador. So it was fun for what it was for me. Let's go back to the first match on the show. Shane Strickland versus Alex Zane. Swerve Strickland won the match. Alex Zane apparently is now either a funky pirate or he's doing Slick Rick cosplay, because he was wearing like rings and he had an eye patch on that he don't need. He's wearing a fur coat. I don't know. Swerve Strickland won the match. They had been doing a story with Tully Blanchard in the new Ring of Honor. And Tully Blanchard is now being sent to Ring of Honor. He's going to have a stable. On the pre-show, Khan, who used to be a member of Shane Taylor Promotions, I guess they broke that up. I don't know if Shane Taylor will be coming through or not. Who knows? But apparently they broke him off of the group, because now he's with Tully Blanchard. Another individual named Toa Leone. I've never heard of him before. And Brian Cage. These are the 3 members of Tully Blanchard Enterprises. Brian Cage defeated Ninja Mac. Ninja Mac is a fan favorite from GCW. He is I think he's a white luchador. But he's a smaller guy. Obviously, he's just in there to take huge bumps and for guys to be thrown all over the place. And they told us that there was a plan for Brian Cage, when he was being brought back, and this was the plan, to put him with Tully Blanchard. That's fine. It's fine, I guess. I don't think Brian Cage fits the Ring of Honor brand, though. I think he should probably go back to Dynamite. That's just me being honest, though. Not saying, I know I don't like him, and most people who listen to this know that I don't like him. I just don't think he fits Ring of Honor. He just doesn't have that that style to me. He's more of a spot monkey. He needs to be back on Dynamite. Mercedes Martinez and Willow Nightingale had a match for the Ring of Honor Women's title, which was the interim title, but it's a new belt. The reason why they're having an interim championship match is because Deonna Purrazzo, who is the actual Ring of Honor Women's champion, was wrestling on Impact, multiverse of matches on the same night. So she was double booked. So instead of just waiting for Deonna Purrazzo, they decided to have an interim championship match. So Willow Nightingale absolutely destroys Mercedes Martinez with a moonsault. If you've ever seen Willow Nightingale, she's like a giant Jigglypuff with purple hair. Just think of Jigglypuff from Pokemon. Put like a purple wig on her. And that's, Willow Nightingale. And so this plump young lady floated through the air and landed directly on 40-year-old Mercedes Martinez's chest. And it didn't look like it didn't look good. Mercedes Martinez was able to finish the match, though, and she actually won the match with a Dragon Sleeper. So this was, I couldn't have cared less. Mercedes Martinez is not somebody they've been doing anything with in AEW, but clearly they're keeping her and they're not keeping Willow. Willow has been doing shots for MLW. I don't know if she's going to be around or not, but we know for a fact that Mercedes Martinez is already signed. Therefore, the person who signed wins. Now, Deonna Purrazzo has already defeated Mercedes Martinez, but that was an Impact, and, that don't count. So now Mercedes Martinez is the interim Ring of Honor Women's Champion. So the match of the night, and probably will be the match of the year, FTR defeated the Briscoes to win the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships. This was tremendo. This was excellent. This was a great match. Hard-hitting, technical, good brawling in it too. Good tag team stuff. The Briscoes had recently just won the GCW Tag Team Championships. They were the GCW Tag Team Champions before, and then they lost them. And then they won them back WrestleMania weekend, and then lost the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles to FTR. There was a suplex off the apron that really kind of led things badly, because they was outside the ring for like maybe 2 or 3 minutes, where, it was just to the point where somebody should have gotten counted out. That's how long they was outside the ring. And I think Dax just took a really bad spill. It was Jay Briscoe who did the suplex off the apron to Dax Harwood, and it was an ugly bump. It looked like it hurt like hell, and he was down for a while. But they pinned Mark Briscoe, I believe it was, with the big rig to win the match. So the Briscoes and FTR is a classic. If you were into tag team wrestling, you're into tag team work rate matches, this alone is, you got to find it and watch it. It was excellent. They had blood in it because the Briscoes were bleeding, and it was just a fun match. So FTR, since they left WWE, they've been the AAA tag team champions, and now they won the Ring of Honor tag team titles. Very fucking cool. So while FTR is celebrating and everybody's questioning what's going on with the Briscoes, are the Briscoes going to stick around in Ring of Honor or not? Because there is that whole, hey, we might not want to do business with the Briscoes thing when it comes to Warner Media, even though they took a picture with that drag queen. They're still kind of we don't know about these guys. And that was kind of one of the questions coming in, is whether the Briscoes were going to be in for the long term, or whether they were going to get shit out just like everybody else. And it seems like everybody who was under AEW contract went over. It's literally that simple. So the Young Bucks, they attacked the Briscoes after the match, because the FTR, they shook hands, they all hugged, because it was all respect. And then they left, which is a normal thing for Ring of Honor. So it's not like I'm going to flip out like, I can't believe they beat the hell out of each other and then shook hands. It's like, that's how Ring of Honor works. So FTR left the ring to the Briscoes, and as a sign of respect, and the crowd is, thank you, Briscoes, so they think they're going to be gone. So the Young Bucks then attack the Briscoes. FTR come back to help them. Then the Young Bucks flee. They brag that they left Ring of Honor to create a company that ended up buying Ring of Honor. Even though they didn't buy Ring of Honor, Tony Khan did. In any event, Dax called them, the Young Bucks, pussies. And then said that, okay, since we're going to be having that match on Dynamite anyway, how about we put on the line the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship, since we just won them. On Rampage, I'm going to talk about Rampage after this too, because why not? It's all Tony Khan. we had the AAA championships will be on the line. So both championships of FTR will be on the line Wednesday. It's just the Young Bucks, man. They booking themselves. These guys are just booking themselves. So it is what it is. I'm not too upset about it. I just wish the Briscoes, wish the best for them. The GCW is great for those guys. And if they don't have to deal with this horse shit, on the independents, fuck these dudes. FTR rules. They, best tag team in the business right now. Legit. Next to the Usos, they're the best tag team in the division, in the world. I love them. Really good guys. The sixth match on the show, Minoru Suzuki defeated Rhett Titus for the Ring of Honor television title. I have no idea why Minoru Suzuki would win a Ring of Honor title, but it happens. Wheeler Yuta defeated Josh Woods for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. Wheeler Yuta is of course in a storyline with Bryan Danielson and William Regal. So of course he was going to win. Josh Woods was already doing jobs on Dark and Dark Elevation. And this is a guy who's big. Okay. Josh Woods is a big dude, technical savage, great wrestler, has personality, has charisma. Of course he's going to do a job to a smaller, thinner guy with the charisma of a dustpan. Of course he will. So, Wheeler Yuta won the match. The match was boring as hell. So was the Rhett Titus versus Minoru Suzuki. Both of those matches were boring as shit. I don't care. Overall, the FTR and the Briscoes was fantastic. It was the best match on the show. Best match of the evening, absolutely. It'd probably be the best match of the year. It's that good. Everything else on the show was okay or middling. Now let's talk about Rampage. I'm going to be pretty quick on Rampage. The Young Bucks defeated the Top Flight. They did some kind of Looney Tunes shit where they ran around the ring and somebody got super kicked in the face. It was stupid. It was the typical Young Bucks match where all they do is flippity doos and jumpity jumps. I don't care. Dan Lambert came up, had a promo where he says that he feels like a bridesmaid that got left behind at the altar because now he's got all of these stripper jokes and nobody to do them on since a certain couple left last month. Then Ethan Page says that was talking about the picture that Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti took with the FTW championship and how disgusting it was. And he says, but the question is, who took the picture? And he says, was it Fuego del Sol? Is that how he hurt his shoulder? And then Paige Van Zant, there's so many pages. Ethan Page, Adam Page, Paige Van Zant. Fuck, somebody needs to change their name. Anyway, Paige Van Zant said, was it Orange Cassidy taking the picture? Taking his gimmick of being freshly squeezed to the next level. I actually like that joke. That joke actually makes sense. Like they're telling the story, and of course they're operating off Paige, right? Paige's story is that she was into threesomes with people taking pictures of her and, them nutting all over the NXT women's title and all that kind of stuff. So they're basically ripping it from the headlines and doing a different version of it. And it's really gross and weird. Anyway, Sammy Guevara is trying to goad them into giving him another title match, and therefore he's going to destroy Lambert's car. And they kept saying no, so he wants a TNT Championship match, and it's not going to happen. I really couldn't care less. Hook was interrupted by Danhausen. He was going to do a promo for Hook. Yeah, right. Danhausen did his gimmick and basically says that his curse didn't work last week, but he's going to try it again, and it failed again. Now he's frustrated. He doesn't understand why he can't curse Hook. This is what Hook is doing. Remember when everybody was so excited for Hook and everybody thought Hook was the absolute honey from the beehive? That's what they thought. Look what they're doing with him now because they're so overprotective of him. It's so overprotective of the guy. He is now in storylines where Danhausen is trying to curse him. Jesus. Anyway, the House of Black defeated the Dark Order and Fuego del Sol. As little as said about that is the better. Jamie Hayter qualified for the Owen tournament by defeating Sky Blue. You don't need to talk about that either. Penta Oscuro tried to remind everybody that Death Triangle is still feuding with the House of Black, but nobody cares. And now we get to Powerhouse Hobbs and Keith. My voice sounds like a thesaurus Lee. So Hobbs is now going in the Christian direction by saying that he's going to open up the book of Hobbs. And the book of Hobbs states that you can't bask in glory without first basking in defeat. And then he says that he's a powerhouse. He's a real powerhouse. And then Keith Lee. Mr. Hobbs, you are indeed most powerful. And perhaps you should stop reading those ancient biographies and start engaging in some better reading material. I suggest science fiction, because the Keith Lee you are about to face in the Battle of Fisticuffs, which is about to commence, you are going to face someone who is unreal. Mr. Hobbs, you are indeed powerful, but you are outmatched in this endeavor. And so they go out there and they have the match in which they do a strong tie-up where they're trying to jockey for position to see who is stronger than who. And it was fine. You know, this match was okay. I think it was very, very, very overbooked. So Ricky Starks comes running to the ring because Hobbs is in trouble. Swerve pulls Starks off the apron, and you know, he comes down to the ring with a chair, by the way, and Keith Lee gets rid of the chair, scares Starks off. Then Swerve is out there. Swerve and Starks are fighting on the floor. The referee is distracted by their fighting on the floor. Hobbs hits the spine buster on Keith Lee. He's got him pinned. There's no ref. Then when the ref comes back, Keith Lee kicks out. And then, what's the name? Keith Lee hits his finish, gets the pin. Immediately after the match, Starks start hitting Swerve with a chair, and Swerve gets a Rochambeau through the table. Hobbs then jumps on Keith Lee. They beat Keith Lee with chairs, and they put him through a table too. It was all overbooked. It was so super messy. But they tricked me into watching this show. Thankfully, Supercard of Honor went to 11. And so I was able to watch Rampage and Supercard of Honor at the same time. Kind of just going back and forth. Because again, the later part of Supercard of Honor with the Red Titus and Suzuki thing was super fucking boring. And so was Josh Woods and Wheeler Yuta. It was boring as shit. So I was able to actually pay more attention to Rampage. It was a bad idea. It was like, you know, trying to avoid staring at the sun and you end up staring at, well, the sun, you know. So this is the booking of Tony Khan all in one night. He competed against himself and managed to somehow still lose. Let me know what you guys think of all of this stuff. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.